Joining us now is Nebraska FFA State Vice President Grace Timm. Grace, great to see you.
Good to see you.
You hail from the Creek Valley FFA Chapter. Share with our viewers today where that's at.
So Creek Valley is in Chapel, Nebraska, which is right in between Sidney and Ogallala along the interstate.
Representing the panhandle of the state on this year's state officer team. Tell me about your background in agriculture as well as your involvement with FFA prior to serving in this capacity.
Yeah, so I honestly wasn't really involved in agriculture as much until I joined FFA. I really joined FFA because I was kind of a plant nerd to do range judging. And then I kind of developed that passion for agriculture. My grandfather owns our farm, and so I began to realize a deeper passion and love for agriculture. And then I was able to also work our local farmers cooperative with Frenchman Valley in Chapel and work in scale room. So really just deepened my roots there.
So you mentioned the contest of range judging, getting involved there. What other contests did you do throughout your FFA career?
So I did range judging, I did parliamentary procedure, and of course conduct of chapter meetings then as a freshman. I did creed speaking, I did extemporaneous speaking, I did food science, vet science, agronomy, livestock management, and I think I nailed them all.
Just a few?
Just a few.
Do you have a favorite out of all those?
Range judging,
okay,
for sure.
How can you apply some of those skills you learned, not only in range judging, all the other contests you mentioned, how can you apply those to your career after taking off the blue jacket?
So I'm currently majoring in agribusiness on the pre-law route, and regardless if I go with law school or not, I can definitely apply these different career development events and competitions to my future career, because I definitely have figured out I really enjoy commodity marketing. And so being able to recognize different crops, whether they're at the seed stage or already grown in the field, especially with the agronomy CDE, that's really huge to be able to start my knowledge there at the base level. And then all of the LDEs I was able to do have been helping me with speaking skills and also just being able to walk up to people and talk to them, and such things, such interviews like this, I can do it.
There you go. Did you have an epiphany moment of when you decided, hey, I want to serve as a Nebraska FFA state officer? If so, when was it? Or if not, what was that moment you decided to do so?
I definitely thought about it for probably a couple of weeks, and then we had our state officer chapter visit my senior year, and Gracie Schneider from COZAD came in, and I got to ask her a couple more questions, and I realized, okay, yeah, I definitely want to at least try to shoot for the moon, aim for the stars here, and so ended up here we are. And I think just being able to speak to somebody who is already in that position and hear their backstory on it really helped me want to achieve those goals.
What has this past year meant to you personally?
This past year has meant just serving and being able to take a step back and realize not everyone has the same path in agriculture or leadership. And it's also so huge and important that we're able to recognize everybody's different story. And such as our national secretary coming in, everybody has a story and everybody has a perspective that needs to be heard. That's kind of her whole basis as she serves this year. And I think that truly rings a bell for me too.
At this session, it's going to air here in a few minutes. You're going to deliver your retiring address. Tell me about that speech. My
retiring address kind of has this idea of, well, I can't really explain it yet, but it definitely is something that a lot of people haven't heard of. To all of my friends on my volleyball team in high school, they'll know what I'm talking about. But it's just this idea of, okay, I'll explain it. Cattle and buffalo, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
But it sounds really weird at first, but trust me, it just kind of gives you that motivation to say, yeah, I can do this, I can accept the challenges at hand. And I think that's really what this whole year has meant to me, is being able to accept the challenge and take that backstory from other people.
Cattle and buffalo. We'll have to stay tuned for that retiring address coming up here in just a few minutes. Before I let you go, you mentioned pre-law. That's where you're at right now. Might want to explore that path. But big picture, what are you thinking you'd like to do? What kind of impact would you like to have on the agriculture industry after your education?
I would love to just have an impact of wherever I am, wherever my feet are. I want to be able to give back to my communities. I know for a fact after my state officer year ends, I'm going to get involved with alumni groups, whether it's on the state level or at UNL or back at my home chapter. And I'd also love to be able to volunteer at different events, such as state convention and different district events as well, with FFA and other agricultural opportunities, such as possibly even NAYC with the council. And I also would just love to be able to, as I grow older into my career, into my shoes, to be able, I'm not sure, I want to practice law, but I'd also love to be able to just give back, speak leadership-wise, and truly grow the future generation of our leaders.
That is Nebraska FFA State Vice President Grace Timm joining us here as she'll deliver her retiring address coming up during this third general session of the Nebraska FFA State Convention.